My name is Ode. I'm here to tell a story of how my sister Mary was killed by a ritualist. Mary was the happiness of our family. Her laughter brought life to our home, and her dreams gave us hope. She always talked about helping us live a better life, about finding a way to end our struggles. But those dreams took her somewhere we never expected, a place of pain and tragedy. It started 3 weeks before she left. Mary had been chatting with a man she called Uncle Danjuma. She said he was rich, kind, and willing to help her achieve her dreams. Every night, she sat in a corner of our room, smiling as she texted him. She told me about his promises, how he would take her to new places and give her the good life she deserved. Ade, this is my chance, she told me one evening as we sat together under the soft light of a kerosene lamp. He's kind, and he wants to help me. I'm tired of living like this. Her words were full of hope, but I didn't feel right about it. Mary, you don't know this man, I said softly. What if he's lying to you? What if he's not who he says he is? She waved off my worry with a small laugh. Ode, stop worrying so much. I'm not a child. I can take care of myself. The morning she left, Mary looked beautiful. She wore her favorite blue dress, the one that made her glow. Her hair was neatly braided, and she was smiling as she packed her small bag. I'll call you as soon as I get there, she said, hugging me tightly. Her joy made me smile, but deep down, I was scared. But Mary never called. 2 days passed, and we heard nothing from her. At first, we thought she was busy settling in, but by the 3rd day, we knew something was wrong. Her phone rang and rang, but she didn't answer. My mother cried day and night, and my father's silence was heavy with anger and fear. I'll go to Abuja, I told them. I'll find her. When I arrived in Abuja, the big city felt strange and cold. I went straight to the nearest police station, holding a picture of Mary tightly in my hands. My sister is missing, I said, trying to stay calm. She came here 2 days ago to meet someone, but we haven't heard from her since. The officer at the desk didn't even look at me properly. Did she leave on her own? He asked, sounding bored. Yes, but. Then it's not a case, he said, cutting me off. She's an adult. Maybe she doesn't want to be found. I felt my chest tighten with frustration. She would never do that. Something bad has happened to her. He sighed and scribbled down some notes. Check back in a few days, he said, dismissing me. It was clear I had no help. I was alone in this. For 2 days, I searched everywhere I could think of. I went to hospitals, I visited morgues, and I walked the streets asking strangers if they had seen her. Every time, the answer was the same, there was no sign of Mary. I was starting to lose hope when I met a roadside food seller who overheard my questions. He told me about a tricycle driver who might have seen her. When I found the driver, he nodded. I remember her. She got into a black SUV with a man. They drove toward an unfinished building outside the city. My heart sank. I followed the directions, praying she was okay. But as I got closer to the building, I smelled it, a strong, terrible smell that made my stomach turn. The smell of death. I covered my nose and stepped inside the building. The air was heavy, and the silence was terrifying. Then I saw her. Mary lay on the floor, her body cold and pale. Her skin, once so full of life, was now gray and lifeless. Her eyes were open but empty, staring into nothing. Her hands and feet were tied, and there were strange, painful-looking marks carved into her chest. Blood surrounded her, dried and dark on the dusty floor. I fell to my knees, screaming her name. Mary. No. Please, no. The closer I got, the worse it became. Her body looked weak, as if all the life had been drained from her. Her beautiful hair was messy, and her lips were cracked and dry. The smell was so strong I could barely breathe, but I didn't care. I held her lifeless body in my arms, crying until my voice was gone. Why, Mary? Why did this happen to you? I whispered, my tears falling on her dress. When the police finally arrived, their questions were cold and unfeeling. "It looks like a ritual killing," one of them said as if it didn't matter. But it mattered to me. This wasn't just another case, this was my sister. The investigation led to Uncle Danjuma. He wasn't kind or generous. He was a ritualist who preyed on young women with fake promises of wealth. He was arrested, but no punishment could bring Mary back. At home, everything fell apart. My mother stopped eating, crying every day until she became weak. My father, once so strong, became quiet and broken. And me. I couldn't forget what I saw. I couldn't forget the smell, the pale skin, or her empty eyes. Mary's death destroyed us. It wasn't just a loss, it was a cruel lesson about trusting the wrong person. Her story is now mine to carry, a story of pain, betrayal, and the terrible cost of believing in false promises.